Hello, this is Shelley Manful from Resurrect America, and I am at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention, NRB, in Nashville, and I am going to be interviewing Bishop Ann Gemenez from the Rock Church. This morning, it was a great joy to sing the national anthem for them and be their opening anchor woman. In 2004, while her husband, Bishop John Gemenez, was still alive, one more time, he said, someone must call America to prayer on her knees, in a spirit of harmony and unity. In September of this year, 2012, in Philadelphia, such an event will take place for a 3-day seminar and 1 day on their mall, praying, fasting, and interceding for an awakening and a move of God. So please now, won't you join me to hear what this is?
Ann, it's really good to see you.
Thank you.
Praise God.
Pleasure to be here.
And you've got a booth here at NRB. It's been an exciting week.
Yes.
But you've got an awesome project to bring to America again. Tell us about that.
Shelley, we're doing America for Jesus 2012, September 28th and 29th of this year. And we're calling a solemn assembly. We're asking people to come to Philadelphia and pray on the mall with us for the healing and revival of America. I believe that America can still be saved.
I do too.
But it's going to take the people of God coming before God. Now, we're going to Philadelphia because that's the first capital of our nation.
That's right.
And it's where all of our major documents were written. And someone said till they filled in a swamp 200 miles away and called it Washington, D.C. So we're going to the headwaters of our nation.
Praise God. There's something significant about that.
Absolutely. And Shelley, we're only 40 days out from the national election. So we're believing God for calling a national fast, prayer and fasting, 40 days up to the election. This is a call to every intercessor in America. Just come and be the army of intercessors on the mall in Philadelphia, September 28th and 29th. Now, the 28th is a youth rally from probably about 4 in the afternoon up through till probably close to midnight. Ron Luce and Lou Engle.
Oh, I love Lou.
Heading up this youth rally.
Yes.
And then beginning from the rising of the sun, which will probably be around 6 in the morning on the 29th, we'll be on the mall, Independence Mall in Philadelphia, asking God to heal our land. Now, those that are working with us, we've got the people that did the response in Houston, Bishop Harry Jackson, Doug Stringer, Cindy Jacobs, Jane Handsome,
That's great.
and oh my goodness, Mark Sharona, Brendan Hank, the list goes on. Every leader that we've talked to so far, and we want to get all leaders. I haven't been able to reach everybody yet. We want everyone to sign on and come. We've got my husband, John Jimenez. He did the Washington.
Yes, I sang the national anthem there and did your opening with your anchor woman position that morning. It was so cool, but it was awesome.
Yes, I remember.
Awesome.
Well, John passed away 4 years ago, and a little before he died, he said to me, "Ann, somebody's got to call the nation back to God." He said, "Somebody's going to do it one more time." He said, "But it won't be me this time." I never dreamed, Shelley, it would be me. But, it's just like the church, I found out that I had to have $100,000 to go and get the permit.
Yes.
And because you've got to show them you're able to pull off the event.
Yes.
Well, I said, well, that lets me out,
Playing with the big boys.
Yeah.
Right.
But I told the church, and I said, we need this amount of money. And so we got some envelopes. We said, if you give, if we have $100,000, we can go for Shelley. When the time came, we had $100,000.
Praise God.
It was just, to me, it was a really amazing. It was a
And
miracle.
not in debt this time.
No.
This time, we're going to believe God. 2012 is the year of completion, the year of dreams long awaited. The world will go through all of its ups and downs, I have no doubt. But God is moving in a great way with his people. A few weeks ago in our prayer group, the Ground Zero Prayer Shield, we were singing in the spirit, and I was playing the harp. I realized the harp had taken to a certain place.
Right.
It wasn't hurting what we were doing, but it wasn't doing any good any farther into that beautiful singing. So I set it down, and all of a sudden, everyone in the place heard a heavenly harp playing.
Oh, my.
And there was nobody touching a string. It wasn't an incident where maybe some heard it and some didn't. Every eye opened. Everybody was listening for about 3 minutes.
Oh.
And that night, the Lord spoke to us, and this is what he said. Can anyone in this room tell who the president was the year that Azusa Street broke out? Now, we all knew the year was 1906 in April, but not a one of us could tell who the president was. I still haven't looked it up. And then he went on to say, at the end of 2012, the great concern will not be who is in the White House, who occupies the White House, but it will be who occupies the Lord's house.
Oh my, oh my.
And the people of God will say, we have been worshiping King Jesus. And as it was with Azusa Street, that you cannot remember who the president was, so will it be. The greater thing to remember will be the revival of the Lord.
Oh,
Woo!
Oh my. I believe we're on the brink of really revival.
I do too.
I believe God's going to save America, is going to resurrect America.
Yes.
And with the values and the godly roots that we come from, it's going to be restored in America. America's going to turn to God.
Well, that's what we're calling our new television show. We had the radio show, Resurrect America. David and I did that on Salem, and now we're pulling it over into a Christian broadcasting format, but we're also going to work with Fort McHenry in this 2-year period with the Defenders War, 1812 to 1814. And you're doing this in September of 2012, and in 2014 in September, it will be the anniversary of when he actually wrote the national anthem. And the reason he wrote, "Oh, say can you see," is because he was talking with a British admiral who had chided him. You see that flag flying over there? When dawn's early light comes, it'll be the British flag. And he pointed at the pole and he said, no, the American people would rather crawl on their knees to their God than march on their feet to surrender.
Oh my.
And that's when he wrote, "Oh, say can you see." Now, in the Philadelphia harbor, my 4th great-grandfather was the first comptroller of the port. He prayerfully decided what trade could come in or out. And he was present during the Independence Hall negotiations about the Declaration of Independence. His family actually published some of the first copies. And he made a statement I found in an archive in Washington, D.C. a few years ago when I was writing a book about him. That's how I met Peter and David writing the book. And what he said was strange to the American ear today, but if you analyze it, it makes a lot of sense, and it's something to hook on in prayer to. He said, let us, the benevolent aristocracy, create a federal republic whereby the common man may assume he has a democratic vote. Now, if you don't hear it right, then there are fighting words. But if you hear it right and you understand American history, it's something to latch onto in prayer. He called himself the benevolent aristocracy because they were the rich landowners that had been there for 3 generations. What made them benevolent was the Great Awakening. And he had been born again in Whitfield's revival. When the benevolence disappears from that class of people, you have what you have today. And nobody had ever ruled themselves. The Magna Carta had paved the way, the Mayflower Compact, some other documents and agreements, and then the Declaration of Independence was in the wind. What did the common man know about governing himself? Not much. So after the Revolutionary War passed, all the common man wanted to do was mend the fences and bury the dead and get life back together. But people like General John Steele and George Washington and Adams and others knew that the British would be back once they took care of the Barbary pirates in the Row Islands. And sure enough, they were back in 1812. So what they were doing is putting in place a government based on the Trinitarian principles of the Christian Judaic Bible. And that was different than a democracy. It was a federal republic based on that with the democratic ability to vote. But the common man in America has never voted on everything. We've always elected our legislators and our presidents. So what we need right now is for that benevolence to come back into every fiber of society. How incredible, you're going right back to Philadelphia.
That is amazing. We're also doing what we call Love Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be, we're bringing in Operation Blessing. We're hoping to get Hope International and the Samaritan's Purse.
And Billy Graham's organization.
Yes, and we're going to do a benevolent giveaway of, we hope they're going early before September and do coats, jackets for children. Then we'll come back in the end of September when we go for our rally and do food and things like that. And we have the Salvation Army drop-off points. So we're calling that part of our going to Philadelphia. We're calling that Love Philadelphia.
You know, the button boy I was telling you about earlier, Jonathan Dark.
Yeah.
He was part of the Cooper spy ring as it started out, and that forefather I was telling you about was too, and the boy's Quaker mother. But they walked from Philadelphia to Valley Forge. What would it be like to get the youth involved, like one of those marathon marches that people do, you know, for March of Dimes, things like that? What if the youth of America were to walk for that love distribution and raise up donations going from Philadelphia to some area like Valley Forge? They could camp out, you could have something very significant, and somebody could donate for every mile that they walked.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Might be able to do something like that. Well, how can people get in touch? What can they do right now?
They can go to our website, AFJ12.org. AFJ12.org, and they can see all about it. The hotels are already giving discounts under our name, America for Jesus. They get reservations and make their plans. They can register. The registration is no cost, but we need as we go along an idea of how many are coming so that we can be prepared and have overflow sites.
That's excellent. And the whole theme of this will be unity.
Oh, yes.
And
oh, yes.
Not just
everyone's
speakers.
invited. No, no, they're going to be praying. We're doing a mini conference 3 days ahead of time called The Awakening, where the major leaders coming in, they will be speaking, but on the mall, everybody's going to be praying.
Praise God.
So, but anyway,
praise God. Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you, Shirley. God bless you.
Oh, I'm so proud of
Good
this.
to see you again.
Good to see you. Well, hook up, and if we can do the National Anthem Project with you and get the singers to go on that, I'd love to do that.
All right.
And then if we can come in and film anything about what you're doing ahead of time, and maybe the rock churches would want to get involved in this, and we will film choirs across the nation singing the National Anthem. Then when we actually bring the ship